Ah, ah, ah. I know. You never know what's going through my mind when I make these sounds before I illuminate the situation. Ah, ah. Sometimes they're me trying to deal with how I'm going to talk about these things. Ah, ah. Because sometimes they are things that are very near and dear to me. And this is one of those times. This is a talk to everybody from Gaylord, Michigan, that went through the school system from kindergarten on up, even later on up. Wait, looks like we've got audio. I went to kindergarten. Kindergarten. Kinder meaning child or youth. Child. Garten, a place where they grow. A place where children grow. I went to kindergarten in Gaylord Public School System. I because St. Mary's School at the time didn't have a kindergarten. And you got to get the kids started somewhere, otherwise the nuns will beat the living shit out of them for being too stupid to be Catholic. Even though they got fucking aspergillum fucking baptized in the street in front of their non-Catholic children and then taken away because they said the parents aren't good enough to raise a child of God. And so they put them in orphanages and then they sell them out to Epstein Island. I didn't know that was going to come up. I'm doing a eulogy. Not for him. Jeffrey Epstein should have nothing better than an effigy for him that people can burn every time they say Trump's. Every time you say Trump's name, a demon gets its wings. So every time you hear the word Trump, you should burn a fucking effigy of Jeffrey Epstein to maintain their fucking connections. And you could have them made in America, these effigies. And you could do one every weekend. You want to make America fucking wealthy again? Mawa. Just start selling effigies of fucking Epstein and make a drinking game out of it based on that poor guy's fucking name, Trump. Every time you hear it, burn a fucking effigy of Epstein. Well, I think that's probably going to be the name of the fucking video. An effigy of Epstein, a eulogy for Mr. Black. It's a disservice that I do talking about those two people at the same time. So I went to kindergarten at the public schools, and then in first grade, which showing up to class in kindergarten at the public schools, I walked into the thing. My mom took me there to make sure I was going to be okay. My cousin was there, who's older than me, but we were in the same grade because I started young. When we walked in, he was sitting there crying and crying and crying. I said, it's okay. And my mom, I think I let her down a little bit because I was okay to be away from the fucking clan. I'm a mover. I'm a nomad. I've got a camel in every port waiting for me to take me out into the desert and fucking read the skylights as the stars speak to us. Because I went over to my cousin and I put a truck down in front of him. There were toys all over the place. I was like, this place is fantastic. And he stopped crying and we played trucks, and that was, I guess my mom left. I've heard a little bit about it from her. That's about how it goes. But kindergarten in the public school was a good place. I'll just touch on the difference between that and first grade at St. Mary's Elementary School. Just really quick. My mom got out of work on midnights and showed up in time to walk me into my first class in first grade at St. Mary's Elementary School. And Sister Louisa was there, the same woman that my dad had for a first grade teacher. And he talked about her later in life. He said she was mean. She always seemed so big. And it's true, because when I saw her at a funeral once, I was standing over her and she acted so nice and she was so small. Wow, I was wrong about everything. She's been lying to the parents and the adults because she was a giant. And my mother walked me into the class, and Sister Louisa was standing there with all the kids sitting in their fucking desks like that. And I looked at her. I'd never seen anything so horrifying. It's like Stephen King's library police, library cop fucking story where there's just something not right with this nice person. I howled. My brother in the fourth grade down the hall told me when we got home from school, he could hear me crying and howling in his fourth grade class. And I'm like, oh, maybe it was fifth. I think it was fourth. This woman horrified me intensely. And I'm sitting there holding on to my mother. I'm going, I didn't have a problem with the school. I had a problem with Catholicism, just like Damien being taken to church in the fucking Omen. And this woman, she came and she just reached and she grabbed me around the fucking wrist, the little itty bitty wrist, that her hands were just big enough to fucking threaten. And they were cold. And she pulled me away from my mother and said, now you, yeah, and put me down in a desk. And I remember my mom standing in the doorway and saying, oh. And I know she suffered because she loved me more than anyone else. You call that a double entendre or whatever? She loved me more than anyone else. What do you mean? Do you mean that she loved me more than she loved anyone? Or do I mean that she loved me more than anyone ever has? That's a fucking question to be taken back to Sister Louisa. I'm glad she's dead. But this is not a question I've asked myself. Sometimes the only way you can be sure someone is being honest is when you can be sure that it's the first time they've ever thought of it. And that comes with acknowledging each other as a person. So there, when I went to kindergarten, all the kids all through elementary school, I'm sure, and even into the church's Trinity Lutheran, I think he was a choral fucking director. People loved the songs he played. When I was in kindergarten, before getting shipped off to the parochial school, the one you have to pay for, where people are brutal and vicious, and they kick out kids that think they're better than everybody because they could take it. I've fucking taken the worst of all of it. Go fuck yourself, St. Mary's fucking graduates. You don't know nothing, do you? You don't know about Monsignor Kaminsky because you were too good to be an altar boy. You had a business life ahead of you. You didn't have a calling. You had just getting through this like your dad says, and you'll fucking take over the fucking company one day and possibly buy out all of fucking Western Gaylord just so it can be taken down by a tornado to prove that this is supposed to be farmland, not fucking business. This is supposed to be a land of God. God's country. Why is it recently they kept getting hit by ice storms and tornadoes and sheer winds that they don't know what the fuck to call them, that tear down fucking entire parts of that fucking community where no business is supposed to stand, only love and life and family. Now you've got skeletons of businesses spread out all over, just making the town look like a shithole and giving it a place. A shithole, you say? Well, drain the swamp? Well, they went to work to drain the swamp, and they filled us so much full of bullshit that it's just become a cesspool. The goddamn government right now is not a swamp anymore. It's a shithole, just like they accuse everybody else of being. I like that one too. I was thinking about that earlier. I didn't know it was going to work into this conversation. I'm doing a eulogy. And this is a real serious thing. This is a man that means something to everyone, more so than Sister Louisa, who meant only fear, who my dad was afraid of as a child. This woman that just got fucking moved around because she just couldn't die. They snuck her out of town and acted like she was dead. She's a fucking vampire, feeding off the tears of children, like Colin Robinson's girlfriend. When I was in kindergarten, we had a music teacher in these classes that we'd go through, and Mr. Black was there. Mr. Black was a dude that was a white version of Morgan Freeman when Morgan Freeman was on the Electric Company, the Easy Reader. He was just the coolest dude, and he'd sit there and he had his guitar and he'd play and he'd sing old folk music to us. I don't remember a single one of them that I ever heard because I didn't know the songs, but they were probably like Bob Dylan and fucking shit like that, maybe a bit Joan Baez, just nice stuff. He'd play it. He had long black curly hair and a beard, and his name was Mr. Black, and I liked him so much. He never paid any attention to me any more than he paid any attention to the other kids, and he wasn't paying attention to us any more than he should have fucking reasonably been paying attention to us. unlike those that wanted to punish us. He's just there. He's just sharing, and he's playing. And I'd gotten a little guitar at one point. I was 4 years old, turned 5 in kindergarten. I was younger than the other kids, but I scored highly, like 4th or 5th grade level. So they let me go and said, we'll see how this goes. It was kind of slow, but I picked up. I had a concussion at 2. I had a total re-networking of my mental faculties. My mother said I was like a baby again. I had to relearn everything. So I came in talking slow, but never had a stutter. I have things that you might consider stutters now, but it's just me thinking and pausing. But I don't have the and in 2nd grade at St. Mary's, Miss Romanowski once in front of the whole fucking class, she said, Archie, why do you talk so slow? Because I'd asked a question, and all the kids laughed, and I said, you fucking cunt. My mother, I didn't say that. I didn't know the word, but I know what it felt like. My mother, I went home crying. I'm slow, but I didn't stutter. I'm picking up on things. I figured out through the years I have to talk a bit quicker if people are going to fucking pay attention to the things I have to say, because the stories go on, because it's chock full of details. My mother gave fucking Miss Romanowski in 2nd grade. She wasn't even Catholic. She just happened to be teaching for the school in a fucking trailer behind out by the playground. Half a trailer. My mother went and gave her shit. That wasn't the first time my mother stood up for me. Love my mother. Here's to you, Ma. She died on August 7th in 2018. Buried on her birthday on the 11th. She's gone. So she's one of the people that I say, well, fuck them, they're dead. What are they going to complain about? I have nothing bad to say about my mother. She liked me. And she allowed me to be. So Mr. Black, Roland Black, same name as Stephen King's Roland of Gilead, son of Stephen from the Dark Tower series. Mr. Roland Black, who was never anything but a fond memory to me because I had very little interaction. He would play and I got a guitar once, a little guitar. I don't know how I got it. I don't rightly recall, but it ended up rotting in the sandbox because, well, I didn't know how to play. But before that happened, and he'd play his things, I was always enamored. I thought that was really cool. He could play guitar and make these sounds. And I'd say, can I bring my guitar in? And he said, of course. I had just gotten it. I couldn't play. And so I brought the guitar in, and I sat there, and he was up there with his guitar. This guy's obviously knowing what he's doing, and I'm a kid that doesn't know anything. He just sat there and he let me do this. And well, I tried to learn along the way. So I got to play my guitar, and he played behind me, and he let me go. And he didn't He didn't give me shit about anything. He died on Thursday. I want to say to you, Mr. Black, same thing others have said, I've heard about. We all miss you very much. You're fantastic. And you did wonderful things without having to hurt anybody. We're going to miss you, Mr. Black, and thank you for letting me play with you.